Hello. Now, before I get more into this video, I'd just like to say that everything on this channel is entirely my own personal opinion and is in no way affiliated with the Department of Defense of the United States Army or West Point. Cool. So West Point is removing all of its Confederate statues, paintings, memorabilia, and all that stuff. And it's gone about how everyone could have expected it to, and that people on Facebook are furious, people on Twitter are saying it should have been done years ago, and the Army subreddit just doesn't care and devolves into inside jokes about going to Sergeant Major's basement. Now, for those of you not in the loop, West Point published this statement that they sent to all the graduates in their email, which was a fun thing for me to read at, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And it essentially listed that they were going to be changing the names of everything named after Confederate people and gave a list of things that they would be modifying or removing. Those being all buildings and streets named after Confederate General Lee, including Lee Road, Lee Barracks, Lee Housing Area, and the Lee Child Development Center, which for those of you wondering, Child Development Center is just a weird name for a daycare. The portrait of Robert E. Lee in the library, which is interesting because this was something that was brought up to me a long time ago. I remember when I was visiting West Point when I was 17, a history teacher was upset that it was still up in the library and expressed it to all of us, kind of challenging why we thought it should stay or if we thought it should go. So this isn't like some woke mob reaction kind of thing. This has been in the works for over a decade at this point. The bronze triptych in front of Bartlett Hall will be removed due to its depiction of the KKK, which is funny only because I must have walked by that thing hundreds of times, and literally not one time did I ever look at what was actually on that thing. And I know I'm not alone when I say that. If they had just gone in the middle of the night and removed all three of those giant bronze plaques on the side of the building, maybe one guy would have noticed, one guy. And it would have been the weird guy no one liked anyway, so we wouldn't have listened to him. Finally, there's gonna be some changes to Honor and Reconciliation Plaza. Honor Plaza being a small little thing where there's quotations about honor in front of one of the barracks, and Reconciliation Plaza, which is a little monument dedicated to the reunification of the country after the Civil War. And I can kind of see maybe why some people would be upset about modifying Reconciliation Plaza if the whole idea is about reunification of the Union and forgiveness and moving forward with progress and America and all that stuff. But here's the thing. That was not done in some sense of genuine brotherhood or care between the two parties. It was a move by West Point to help appease the South. It's that simple. They just kind of wanted to make it easy for them to go along with reunification and pushing the Union forward. It was an easy thing to do to give them buy-in, and it's that simple. Also, while I'm here, might as well dispel a few things that I hear floating around the internet. It's not hate, it's heritage. Look, I am from Arkansas. I like guns, barbecue, and moonshine just as much as the next person. I've exclusively chosen southern states to station myself in, and my favorite contraction is Yaldo. So I get being southern thing. I totally get it. But this is not heritage. The Doritos Locos Taco has been around longer than the Confederacy ever was. I get that people view it as southern pride, but does it have to be this? It can't be anything else? Just go to Waffle House and get some merch. I promise you, it will go over way better in your social circles. Personally, I've chosen the alternative style as my source of Southern pride. Those who forget history are doomed to repeat it. This is weird on a couple levels, but the main one that I'm thinking of is that the people who say these things are the ones asking to keep the stuff in place. Those being the people who support the South. So the bad guys. Kind of like them saying hey, if that painting isn't at the library anymore, I might try to get slaves again. Look, no one is forgetting the Civil War. It was kind of a big deal. Such a big deal, in fact, that we kind of got dibs on calling it the Civil War. Every other country's Civil War has to define what they mean by their Civil War. We just get to call it the Civil War, which is kind of cool, I guess. Also, there's a difference between remembering history and honoring history. West Point graduates who fought in the Civil War would probably be a little confused if you brought them here today and showed them their giant paintings of Lee up in the library when they spent 5 years of their lives trying to kill as many Confederates as humanly possible. West Point is not removing history, okay? It's removing hyper-real glorifications of it. Things that weren't accurate to begin with. This final one is my personal favorite. The South will rise again. And I just wanted to include this one because it's funny, because typically the people who say that cannot even rise off of their own couch. Now, obviously, there are way more arguments than just these three that I've cherry-picked because I can come up with clever things to say about them, but none of them hold up regardless of what they are. The people who are being like honored with these things literally betrayed their classmates and the institution that brought them up. Remove everything else, and it seems pretty obvious that West Point would want to do this. So back to the controversy about them making all these changes. Here's the thing. West Point does not care if it upsets you. It also doesn't care if these changes make you happy. See, despite what a lot of people might think in this country or even want, unfortunately, the military is an apolitical body. If Congress tells us to do something, we're going to do it, as long as it's not illegal, immoral, or unethical. And regardless of how much you argue, taking down a painting in a library or changing out a street sign is not illegal, immoral, or unethical. Regardless of how much that guy with a truck selfie with sunglasses tells you it is. Don't listen to him. I think this apolitical aspect of the military is something people really take for granted, though. The fact that the military is entirely subservient to civilian leadership is a good thing. You don't want the military to be part of the political process at all unless it's directly preserving it and allowing it to continue. Countries with political militaries are dangerous to their populations, plain and simple. You might not agree with what the Congress tells the military to do. Trust me, it's a lot better than the military telling Congress what to do. So people saying like West Point shouldn't listen to, Congressman blah, 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 Representative X, Y, and Z, they don't get it. They don't understand how the whole Constitution works, or how it was set up, or how dangerous a precedent that would set if West Point just decided like, nah, we're not listening to all those congressmen, even though we're legally bound to, and swore an oath that we would. Like, that's how coups start. And I really don't want to do that, mainly because they sound like a lot of work, and I would much rather spend my weekends sitting with my feet up on my couch rather than like throwing the Idaho State Legislature into a work camp or something. Not my idea of a good time. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. I'm sure people have a myriad of opinions on this. If you got this far in the video, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.